Hey, how's it going? I just wanted to go over this IXL. If you had any questions on it, I just wanted to, address those beforehand. And so right off the bat, you're going to be getting questions like this. So let me go ahead and show you what you want to focus on. So the first thing you want to do is focus on the slope, and you want to focus on the other slope, and you want to tell if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So if these slopes were parallel, they would be exactly the same. But notice they're not exactly the same. The 9 and the 2 are on the numerator and denominator, and they're basically not in the same place. So this is on the top, this is on the bottom, so they're not parallel. They would have to both be on the top. To be perpendicular, well, you'd have to flip the fraction, and so that would basically flip this one. So you should have 2 over 9, which this does have, so that could be perpendicular. However, the other thing you need to keep in mind is that the sign, if it's negative, it should be positive in this case. So this would be the slope that's perpendicular. And so since this is pretty close, it doesn't have a positive though. Whereas this one is negative, this one should be positive over here. So that would mean it's not perpendicular, so it would be neither. So let's go ahead and try that. Let's see here. I'm going to put neither. Submit it. All right, cool. Okay, so let me jump ahead to 43. Okay, so this one is giving you an equation. So since we have an equation, let's see, here's the slope. The slope is always in front of the x, so we're going to ignore everything else. And we're going to want to pick a slope that's perpendicular. So we're going to, again, flip that fraction over. So if we take the reciprocal of this fraction, we're going to end up getting 2 over 7. And the other thing we need to change is the sign. So because this sign is negative, this should be positive. So that should be our final answer, positive 2 over 7. So let's put that in. So 2, and then to get the fraction, we're going to want to use that slash symbol right there, and 7. Okay, cool. So let's skip ahead one more level. Okay. So this is a little bit more challenging. To get to a 70, you need to pass this level. Okay, so let's look at this. Are the slopes parallel or perpendicular? Well, in order to determine that, well, we got to know what the slope is here. And the other thing we need to determine is the slope between this point and this point too. So I'm just going to make it all on one part there. Okay. So what you could do is go into Desmos, and you can pretty much put those 2 points in to see if they're parallel or perpendicular. But another thing you could do is determine the slope using the slope formula. So I'm going to basically take these 2 points. Here's my x, here's my y, x, y. This is my first x, first y, second x, second y. So the slope formula is going to be, let's see, the change in y over the change in x, right? The rise over the run. That's going to get us our slope. Well, the y's are going to be, the change means we're going to subtract the x's and subtract the y's. Just make sure that the y's are on top and the x's are on the bottom. So our y2 is right here, 10. So I'm going to write 10 first, minus our y1 is 2. So I'm going to subtract the 2. And then I'm going to focus on the x2, which is this 10, minus, and then the x1 is going to be 5. So that's going to be 8 over 5. So that is the slope of the first 2 points. And then if I do the same thing for these two, this is going to be xy, xy. This is our first x, first y, second x, second y. So I'm going to use the exact same formula. I'm going to subtract the y's on top, subtract the x's on the bottom. Let's see. So y2 is 14 minus y1 is 9 over x2 is 1 and x1 is 9. So signs are going to be very important here. On the numerator, we have 14 minus 9. We're going to subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. In the denominator, we have different signs. We're going to subtract and take the sign of the bigger number, which is a negative. Negative 9 is bigger than positive 1, so this is a negative 8. And so look at that. To compare this slope and this slope, they're the reciprocals of each other, which means the fraction has flipped, but also this is negative, whereas this one has no sign, but it's positive. And so that means that they are perpendicular. So let's put that in. Cool, and then you're basically done. So through all these cases, we were talking about perpendicular, but in order to know if they're parallel, the slopes would have to be the same. If the slopes are neither parallel nor perpendicular, obviously the slopes would have different numbers or both be the same sign. All right, good luck, you guys.